I'm not ashamed to own my Lord, nor to defend his cause. Maintain the honors of his word, the glory of his cross.
If you have a Bible with you, you can turn to Matthew chapter 11. We're going to be reading from verses 7 to 19. If you don't have a Bible, don't worry. Just follow along with us on the screen. The version that we'll be reading from is the New King James Version. So, Matthew chapter 11, beginning at verse 7. As they departed, Jesus began to say to the multitudes concerning John, "What did you go out into the wilderness to see? A reed shaken by the wind? But what did you go out to see? A man clothed in soft garment? Indeed, those who wear soft clothing are in kings' houses. But what did you go out to see? A prophet? Yes, I say to you, and more than a prophet. For this is he of whom it is written, Behold, I send my messenger before your face, who will prepare your way before you. Assuredly, I say to you, among those born of women, there has not risen one greater than John the Baptist. But he who is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffers violence, and the violent take it by force. For all the prophets and the law prophesied until John. And if you are willing to receive it, he is Elijah who is to come. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. But what shall I liken this generation? It is like children sitting in the marketplaces and calling to their companions and saying, We played the flute for you, and you did not dance. We mourned to you, and you did not lament. For John came neither eating or drinking, and they say he has a demon. The Son of Man came eating and drinking, and they say, Look, a glutton and a winebibber, a friend of tax collectors and sinners. But wisdom is justified by her children." When we left off with verse 6, we had John's disciples going to tell John the Baptist the answer to his question. That is the they who were departing in verse 7. While John's disciples departed, though, Jesus remained with the multitudes. He asked them, when they went out to see John the Baptist in the wilderness, what were they expecting to see? A reed shaken in the wind, meaning an unstable person? Jesus said he wasn't such, for he stood for truth even while in prison. Were they looking for one clothed in soft garments? To find those people, you need to go to kings' houses and seek that among the wealthy, for John wasn't that. Were they going to see a prophet? Yes, John was that. In fact, he was more than a prophet, for not only did he speak the words of God, he was prophesied about in the Old Testament. When Jesus said in verse 10, Behold, I send my messenger before your face, who will prepare your way before you, he is quoting Malachi 3, verse 1. Jesus says that that messenger is John, and the one who he prepared the way for is Jesus himself. Jesus gives John quite the compliment then by saying that among those born of women, none was greater than John the Baptist, for he was the prophet who taught the truth of the coming kingdom and lived to see the one who would reign over that kingdom, the Messiah, Jesus. While other prophets prophesied about the Messiah, none of them saw the Messiah. However, even with this statement of John being true, the ones who would be least in the kingdom of heaven would be greater than John. Why? Because John would die before the kingdom came, and so while he preached about the kingdom and he would be saved by God's grace through faith, he never had the opportunity to see the kingdom come after Christ's resurrection. Jesus goes on to say that from the days of John the Baptist until then, the kingdom of heaven suffers violence, and the violent take it by force. Some take this to mean that Jesus is saying the kingdom of heaven had already come. But this can't be true, for Jesus' disciples had just been sent out to teach the kingdom was at hand. So what was Jesus meaning here? What I can compare it to is when we build a new home, we dig a hole. While it is unfinished and the hole is being prepared, we might bring people by and say that this is going to be my new home. The hole is not going to be our new home. For people to understand, we mean the structure that is built in the hole and on top of the ground. So too with the kingdom. Jesus was preparing for the kingdom to come, and there was violence. People were rejecting the gospel, and some were being killed. He then goes on to remove all doubt as to who John is. He says that John is the one who came in the spirit of Elijah, the one whom the prophet Malachi spoke of in Malachi 4:5, the second to last verse of the Old Testament. And yet, even with this being true, the people were not satisfied. It was like children who played the flute, but you didn't dance with joy. Or when these children mourned for you because of this, you did not lament, show any signs of grief. John the Baptist wasn't involved in social functions with people, and the people were not satisfied. In fact, they said he had a demon. However, Jesus was involved in social functions with people, and they accused him of being a glutton and a winebibber, and also a friend of tax collectors and sinners. There was no pleasing this people. However, the works of wisdom, our version says the children of wisdom, are the best evidence of wisdom. That is, that wise men would justify the conduct of both John and Jesus, but those who didn't showed themselves not to be wise. With that, our time is up for today. The Lord willing, we hope you'll join us for tomorrow's discussion of Matthew 11, verses 20 to 24, as we continue our walk through the Bible, one verse at a time.
I'm not ashamed.
Thank you for watching today's episode. We hope that you found it edifying and ask that you not only subscribe to our channel and podcast, but that you like and share this episode among your friends, so that the saving gospel of Jesus Christ can go out to the whole world.
Of his cross.